Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. Let's jump into that recap, why don't we? On the 6th afternoon of Villid Glum, the wild shadow on Atolva's dog, the Wayward Five tracked down the nature facility of the Archdruid of the Glenuviel Circle, Gideon. Here they found an abandoned, fog-ridden lair. Shattered greenhouses, crumbling statues, and overgrowth littered the region. Upon Ekbargoth announcing your presence, a battle ensued between the party and mysterious Archfey. This creature was corrupted by a pallid mask, a tool of domination created by the Pallid King. And as the fight raged on, the true enemy showed themselves, an amalgamated hag coven with their flesh grafted together. You brought down the Pallid Archfey first, the red-capped minions of the hags, for turning all your attention to this monstrosity. Timber weakened the hag enough for Ekbargoth to eviscerate them back into their requisite forms by killing the host hag. The other two sisters, now divested of their full form, crawled on the earth. But the night hag would not die so easily. She channeled blood magic into the corpse of her sister by sacrificing the other sister. She grafted their forms together again, but as a single entity, as their corpses unified with her living flesh, renewing her assault. But nonetheless, the party was able to survive and defeat this foe. You found Gideon beneath the mossy armor and pallid mask of the Archfey. You quickly healed him to prevent death. He awoke in a panic and overcome with fear. Sarathil quickly tended to him after tossing the pallid mask far from the scene, feeling that corrupting weight behind it. Talray took his gun to the mask, firing repeatedly until it shattered into 5 pieces. Gideon led you all to his greenhouse, where you found a menagerie of animals, some still alive, some not, all hungry. Talray began sharing good berries with the beleaguered animals, as Gideon bemoaned the damage the hags had done to his friends. He introduced himself and offered his service to the party for saving him and his facility. But outside, Timber stayed, contemplating what to do with the remnants of the mask. Here he thought of Curon. What would he have done? This is where we left off. So, you're surrounded by the clamor of animals, feeding on good berries that Talray is still dispersing about. The beleaguered Gideon is still kind of sitting in the chair, where he, after he announced himself triumphantly and then collapsed back down, he is still very exhausted. He has 1 HP, so he's on the edge still, but awake. All of you are here, except Timber. You are still outside. What would you all like to do? Yeah, he's not too far away. He would just be at the other side of the courtyard where the pallid mask is.
If you want, we could try and...
Sorry, 1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys, they couldn't hear you at all there.
Oh.
Yep, thank you, David. My computer reset the audio output for that, so they should be able to hear you now. Can you guys say something?
Back to ones.
Okay.
Start it over.
Vroom,
All right. So yeah. If you could, in a shorter form, repeat that.
Timber, you're not useless. You're great. Kieran would want us to take these pieces of the mask, so we're going to.
Yeah,
and you have a lot of questions.
That I do. I'm going to put this in a bag. That's going in another bag. I'm putting all the pieces in a bag of exploration. Putting that bag of exploration into my bag of holding.
If you want, Timber, we could... There is one person we could ask about this. I could try and ask my brother, since he has one and he had a broken one.
I think this will come into play later, but for now we have a heading for Queen Ayla. This isn't a near future task. This is the late game, as it were.
The questions are going to keep you up at night. We can try and get some answers.
Yeah. My pondering is more so just feeling a little lost. Our guide is gone. That's all.
Oh, come sit with us inside. You look like shit. We need to rest.
I feel like shit, so thank you. You look like shit too, by the way.
Thanks. I feel like it. I'll like take Timber's hand and just lead him back inside.
Yeah.
Okay. Inside where Sarathil and Ekbaralgoth and Talray are with Gideon, there's sort of, I imagine right now, with everyone so tired, there's an awkward silence as Talray is feeding the animals. But at some point, Gideon would kind of like, just wave his hand and all of the cages would just open. And there would be this cacophony of birds and beasts and all sorts of animals all coming out at once. I don't if you guys ever seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective? Yes. When his landlord comes by and he hides all the animals, and then as soon as the landlord's gone, he summons them all out and they all come rushing out. That's exactly what happens. You see all manner of critters from the Elysian forest come out. You see everything from squirrels to birds to skunks to badgers to every kind of animal you can think of. There's a few lizards that come out crawling out of a big cage, and they all just sort of immediately stampede out to go and forage for food, because while good berries will sustain you, they're not very filling. I like to imagine like people eat good berries and it's like, great, I won't die, but I'm starving. My stomach is still churning because the muscles are still cramping in there. As Timber and Scarlet would walk back in.
So, you're supposed to be, what, the head of these druids? And yet here you are, taken over by a coven of hags? Are their standards really so low here?
Excuse me.
You're excused.
Demon. Infernal wretch. How's that?
Bravo.
Excuse me, if I'm not so sympathetic to what you're saying here, it was not just a coven of hags. It was that damned mask.
And how'd you come by it exactly?
Well, you see, I've never seen something like that before. And I'm a curious man of the natural world, and I was, well, tricked, you see, bamboozled, swindled, taken to town.
I see no sign of civilization anywhere.
Where did you find it?
You see, he suddenly kind of like starts looking around, like someone who isn't sure if their oven is still on before they leave the house. Oh no! Baka, she will know. Where is she? All right, go, all of you, go. Throughout the facility, look for a glimmer, look for any kind of shine, something that looks like a star. Go. What are you all standing here for?
Do we look like Aaron folk to you?
That's exactly what you look like.
Adventurers. I'll have you know, Ekbargoth stabs his greatsword into the ground. And the Seneschal of Ika.
Right.
Yes. And I am the Archdruid of Glenuvia Circle, son of the moon and stars and twilight's bosom. I get it. Go find the stars, boy.
He rips the sword out, and as he it's just trailing behind him as he starts to look. I'm sure I'm much older than you. Definitely smart. I want to just fool.
Steph, you're cutting off a little bit when you get quiet. so extra mumbly.
He is just kind of muttering under his breath as he walks away, saying how great he is compared to this guy. But he's still doing what he's asking, as if he might be a bit of a
bit of a drama queen.
Yes. But yes. I assume you want me to roll an investigation or perception or something.
Yes. He would look around, and if any of you are not moving, he will say the same thing. Go! Look for the stars.
All right.
A glimmer. A suggestion.
What does that mean? All right.
So, I have a flat 0 on basically everything if it's not charisma. Is this a creature we're looking for?
He's not being very specific.
Okay. Well, I imagine as Ekbargoth wanders the grounds looking for this, he's like, "Here, shimmer, whatever you are, come out now. Be a good little star." And can I roll persuasion check?
I would allow that. I would actually allow that. I like that a lot. You see Talray goes out and looks, and someone might say he might not show up for the rest of the session.
Oh, no.
As you all can see, Clay is not here tonight. He's on vacation.
I couldn't tell, thanks.
No, it was always for you, Stefan. Would the rest of you go wandering out to look? All right, so you can give me perception or investigation checks.
Investigation for sure.
Investigation. I rolled a 5, but I have a +10, so 15.
I'm gonna use my my advantage for the day.
You got it.
I'm going to use the knowledge of the past for advantage as well, even though I rolled pretty well, but...
It's pretty garbage.
Well, not well.
It's not
I
bad,
got a
Timber.
24 on persuasion. Persuade this thing to come out.
All right, so we got a 24 on persuasion. Scarlet, what'd you get?
15. Investigation.
Investigation. Sarathil, what'd you get?
21 investigation.
And Timber?
20.
That was perception.
That was perception, yes.
Okay.
With advantage?
Yep, with advantage.
Damn.
Hey, man, just because when you used Eyes of the Moon, you got 35 always.
It wasn't always.
So
there was a
fun,
while in the
those days.
Underdark where Kieran was rolling like sub 5 for almost every perception check.
Plus a million.
Yeah.
15. Yeah, close enough.
That's plus a million in D&D terms.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so Ekbargoth
Mhm.
All right. So before you, I'm gonna conclude everyone else's before yours. So
Okay.
I would say Ekbrelgoth and Sarathil, you are gonna find what he's telling you to look for. Kind of in unison, both of your roles get you to what he's looking for. Timber and Scarlet, you find something completely different. That's not what he's looking for at all.
Good.
So you kind of like both are all like kind of gravitating to different areas of the courtyard. It's weird. This area looks so much different now, oddly. It's still all messed up and ruined, but when you were first here, there was this unnatural stillness in the air, and that fog hung heavy. Now that fog has seemed to almost lift a little. It's not gone. It's still a foggy area, but it is not so unnaturally low. And you can see like perspiration, or not perspiration, condensation. The glass is not sweating. It is Nope. It's condescending. It's not condescending you.
It is
There's
condescending.
condensation on the glass. There's some sweaty glass here.
Good.
But what's more so makes you more comfortable is the bird song and the sound of insects and life that has returned to this area. And you can see several of these animals, they didn't flee out into the woods. Some of them are lazily sitting about these greenhouses, gnawing on some old vegetation in there. You see a particularly like hefty badger is just sitting there, gnawing on some stuff in the one of these greenhouses. But as you go in there looking for a glimmer or a star or a shimmer, Scarlet, you would be like poking around, almost like, I imagine like tiredly, like not really looking for anything, and really like, even though you have such a high modifier, you rolled low, so you're really half-assing this look, hoping everyone else will find it.
Yep.
As you're just kind of like flipping stuff over, there's a lot of like clay pots all over around. There's this big fern that is sitting in the corner, and you kind of kick the pot, and then you see it shakes almost of its own accord. And Timber, you notice this. This is what your perception gets you. Is you notice that this fern, Timber, when it shakes, you notice that it has like cracks in it where there are these really thick roots that are coming through into the ground.
You see that?
That's not.
That moved, right?
normal.
I didn't kick it that hard.
Yeah. And I'm gonna just kind of like mage hand, just like poke around, just not wanting to get close just yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like just like kind of moving the fern leaves around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just in case there's something there. And, yeah.
Give me an investigation check.
But then eventually, start using my hands. When I
Yeah,
think you can
absolutely.
see. That's it. Ooh. +0, so 17.
Nice.
Natural 17.
Oh yeah. So the mage hand starts to kind of brush aside some of the overgrowth of fern leaves, and you notice that the same like roots that were going into the ground, you now notice they've kind of like formed this trunk in the middle that is really thick. Ferns are not trunk plants; they're shrubs. They're not meant to have like these firm roots that almost overlap each other in a muscular formation.
Huh. At this point, hey, Scarlet, do you mind, don't be too destructive here, but, we just need to kind of like burn away some of these thick roots. Just...
Do you hold your fire up to the roots?
Gently.
Or or we could just cut them. We could also just cut them.
So as the fire gets anywhere near this, Scarlet, give me an athletics or acrobatics check.
Oh, acrobatics. +1 over, or +15 over +1. 23.
Okay. Math.
Math.
I cast math.
Roll off.
Roll
'cause-
again?
Yeah, 'cause I was like,
Please!
what's 8 plus 15?
24.
Okay. They rolled a 2 on this time, so you don't. You win.
win.
But basically, when you go to bring the fire closer, like very fast, there's this rapid shaking of all of the ferns. You get kind of splat. You see steam coming off of you as water splashes off of them from the moisture. As you now notice, and Timber, I'll say you notice as those muscular formations of roots now look like a humanoid shape. As then you would also notice through the fern, you notice, oh, this thing is wearing a cloak. Is that a shield? Is that a greatsword? As Scarlet, you see this arm comes rushing to grab your wrist and try to stop you from bringing the fire towards it. As you can then see the whole form kind of starts to raise up as those roots that go through the pot kind of burst up like a leg coming out of the ground, and it lifts itself. As you can see, there's now this 8-foot tall humanoid fern that went grabbing for your fire. As Timber, you would see 2 silver flame orbs come up as eyes on the head. Make sure you read it. An amalgam of branches and roots forming a muscular form with fern fronds hanging all about. 2 bright silver eyes that look like little flames hover in the shadows of a mane of furs on what would be a head, or really kind of just like the neck area of a torso. And you notice as it stands up that clay pot now forms essentially like a shorts, like a pair of underwear on a humanoid form. As it reaches to grab at your arm, misses because if you're good at acrobatics. I'll say it kind of due to the contesting nature. It kind of like catches you at first, but you kind of like, I imagine, like do something cool and kick off of it and get your hand loose. As it just says,
That goddamned flame away from me.
I imagine we're like Scarlet and Timber are like backing up, and Timber's gonna do the mom seatbelt and like put his hand out and snuff it out.
As you then see it kind of like grabs this great sword out, and it doesn't go to attack you. It just sort of does a flail around a wind turbine to kind of like be threatening, and then brings it down in front of him, kind of like Ekbaralgoth, down into the ground.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
We snuffed
By
it out.
the honor of the Gnuiel Circle, you will not burn me down today, witch.
No.
You serve the hags. Do you serve the coven of the pallid mask?
No. We actually broke that mask. So
Yeah,
no,
we destroyed that mask. We do not
Show
serve any.
show
Yeah. Oh, okay. I just take out the bag. Look, here's the crumble pieces.
Oh,
We broke it earlier.
We actually defeated the hags. You're welcome.
You see the really like sternly pointing at you with this arm of roots that's not really a hand at all, just several roots, but kind of forming the shape of a pointing hand. Kind of all calms at once as it shakes and a bunch of condensation comes off of like literally like it's a fern plant. It is an awakened potted plant, one might say.
Wild magic surge gone wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
oh.
We just wanted to-
is Gideon?
He's
Inside. He told us to look for.
He's alive.
Yes, we rescued him as well.
Oh, blessed Iluvania. The Crescent Heart provides. Yes, honor and glory surpass wickedness today.
One might say this guy might be a paladin.
Reminds me of Sir Cadogan from the third Harry Potter book.
Well, you see he kind of like lifts the great sword off of the ground and it hangs over his rooty shoulder. The sword is really wild looking. It's not made of metal. It doesn't look like. It's made entirely of roots and stones and rocks and thorny brambles that make up this blade-like blade. But the end is certainly a metal point. Whereas most of it though is root kind of holding together what is a simulacrum of a sword. And he has this huge shield that he pulls off of his shoulder that is made up of it's a tortoise shell shield that he holds to his side. And he has this cloak, he has this brooch that is holding this cloak together that you can see every time he talks. Let me make sure I got my lore right.
Mhm.
Yep, it's the brooch. Okay. The brooch animates, like it flickers every time he speaks as if the voice is coming from the brooch. And he has this long, lovely green cloak that hangs over his tresses of fronds. One might say it looks like a cloak of elvenkind. But he calms down and looks down at the two of you.
I apologize for my passion.
We apologize for almost burning you just to look at your weapons of choice. Yeah.
You must understand, we have been hiding for several months away from those damned hags, waiting for the return or the freeing of our brave Gideon.
Where did they come from?
The damned mask!
Where did the mask come from?
That damned stranger!
What did the stranger look like?
Were they wearing yellow?
Yes, I thought it was quite a gaudy color compared to my beautiful green cloak. Gideon is a fool for new endeavors and adventures and subjects. His optimism, it's gonna get him killed one day. Me and Baka said so.
He said that name. That's
Baka.
who or what we're meant to be searching for.
Where is Baka?
As we'll transition to outside, where Ekbralgoth and Sarathil are looking for the shimmer together. So Sarathil, as you're looking around, you can I'd say kind of with your investigation roll to 21, you still I'll kind of loop a little arcana into that. You with the dissipating of the hag's energy and the pallid mask being destroyed, there's the magical miasma in the air is shifting to a more Fey-like essence. In this facility, the Fey is thoroughly outweighing that celestial nature that you had found in the other parts of the forest. This place is inundated with Fey magic. One might even say this is a nexus of Fey magic in this area. All kind of coming together at Gideon's main greenhouse where you just were. But you would start to notice certain little shimmers of light in a particular area where you just see Ekbralgoth absentmindedly, not noticing that, is just proclaiming these words to get this creature to show themselves. In which case, do you have something?
I was gonna act it out and go.
Go ahead.
Here, shimmer, shimmer, come now. The seneschal of Ica commands it. We have things to do, people to see. Don't waste my time, please.
As he says this, Sarathil, you'd be walking up and you would notice on the center of those cluster of lights, you would see one light that looks like there's a corporeal center to it. That looks like a, for lack of a better way to put it, a chicken nugget. A little cluster of flesh that is kind of shrunken down in on itself to the size of a marble. It's barely perceptible in the light before you see it just sort of pop and unfold rapidly, almost like someone was being reverse spaghettified out of a black hole, where they were slowly being reformed out of single parts, as you would see a little floating creature. She is about the size of a house cat, humanoid with mouse-like features, scruffy blonde and white fur, and big oversized pink ears. Muscular worker's arms, though, despite how small the frame is, with a bag of tools on her back. all manner of arcane and scripted, like pickaxe, hammer, tinker tools. She wears the exact same kind of uniform the Glenuviel Circle Druids do, except tiny. That same pinstriped overalls with a tunic. And she has a flickering blue flame that hovers above her back. She kind of hunches where her form stands or floats. There's this flickering blue flame that hovers in the back. As she kind of like, oh! How long was I out?
Are you the twinkle? Are you the shimmer? The glimmer in my eye? Gideon.
He's never called me the glimmer in his eye, that's for sure.
I may be paraphrasing.
You see, she kind of hovers closer to you with kind of this trail of starlight that follows behind. She gets really close to your face, Gideon. Or, I'm sorry, not Gideon. Akbarlgoth.
What do you get it?
Every time you wave her your hand, she moves super fast, like when you try to slap a fly away from your hand. As you see, she sifts into her backpack and pulls out like a magnifying glass and is examining your skin and whatnot. She's like, "This isn't your real form. Where's your real form? This isn't you." As you can see, Sarathil, give me a perception check.
Four.
Okay.
Wait, no, hold on, stop, hold on.
Okay,
I'm gonna re-roll with knowledge from the past, because that's embarrassing.
Is that basically your lucky?
Yeah! Yes, 19.
Okay. You can see over, I guess not over her shoulder, she's so tiny. You just see that when she's holding this magnifying glass up, like, you can see that form Ekbarlgoth had when you first saw him behind the magnifying glass, almost like it's eliminating the illusion and showing that true demonic form. As Ekbarlgoth, she's getting way too close to you, and she's like grabbing your chin and like trying to open your mouth and holding the magnifying glass there.
Have I ever seen this creature or have heard of what this creature is?
Give me an Arcana check, or a no Arcana. We'll do Arcana.
30.
30. Okay. You in your research know that this creature is looks kind of like a fey creature you've heard about called a Briganoct. They are not usually found in the material plane, and they're a very strange fey creature that is part of the more dreamy side of the Feywild. Where maybe one might say the Feywild hugs up against the dream plane of existence, where they have a particular affinity towards things called wish stones that they mine for, and they're typically pretty crafty artisans. So the little flickering flame on their back is, is a 30. Is actually a manifestation of their soul. Their souls are not part of their body. They float above them. Very strange creatures. No record of them ever appearing on the actual physical plane. Most of them were thought to have actually died when the Feywild was destroyed.
Just observing this, he's just gonna whisper to himself like, fascinating. And he'll slowly approach, as I'm sure Ekbarl's about to slap it away.
Please, get away from me. You insolent creature.
Give me an unarmed strike to see if you can actually get her.
Oh no, don't squish her, I love her.
So
He just kills her by accident.
Just absolutely smashes her.
22.
Gideon, we found her.
Found her like those.
22.
Misses. Trust me, if you hit her, though, you very much so could kill her. She just has very high AC. Very low HP, though. You see, as he kind of goes for that last swing, she kind of backs off away and then flutters closer to you. Looking at you, she has the actual magnifying glass up against you, too. She's like, interesting. Necrotized flesh, but there's a soul under there. as she also grabs your face and starts touching it. Her hands are very small. They're she's basically like honestly like this big. Sorry, it's like a cat's paws patting you in the face.
I will attempt to, kind of just like do the same thing. See if like I can touch her and like feel like her like the ears and like this is interesting.
Yeah. If you go slowly and carefully and don't like seem like you're going to swing for her, she'll absolutely let you.
It's like I've heard about you, creatures just like you. But seeing it in person is quite fascinating. I can't believe it. You're not from. Well, obviously you're not from this realm, but.
No. I left the Feywild a long time ago.
Why do you reside here, of all places?
To annoy people.
What's up his ass?
Nothing. But there's gonna be something up yours if you don't come with us to Gideon, he says, menacing, brandishing his
Oh, Gideon's fine. He's okay.
He is.
Yes,
he is. Us. He is searching for you.
Oh, thank God! I went into that. I went into the time loop because he was captured and he was stuck. And I was thought if I shrink the time down, and I can figure out a way to save him. And I told Elliot to go into hibernation until I got back.
Elliot, yeah. Is there more of you?
Oh, you haven't woken up yet? And that's when you would all hear, as you hear that proclamating voice be like, "How dare you!" Well, that's him. That's definitely him. He's very passionate.
Well, why don't we make our way back to Gideon then, since we probably haven't seen him in some time.
Feels like centuries. And you see she starts to move, but she almost looks like frozen in time for a second as you look at her, and then she just disappears. Almost like a video game character lagging and then appearing when the latency catches up. You would know that Briganogs have a very peculiar relationship with time. Okay. But back in the greenhouse, Elliot Fern would agree to follow you two back to Gideon. So I imagine there's this sort of weird moment where you're all in the courtyard together, and you look to each other, and you see Sarathil and Ekbrogoth. You would see a 8-foot tall plant man. Or really what is he really is just an awakened potted plant who has the physique of a fighter though, but he's covered in all of these fronds, these fern fronds, but the only clothing he has is the pot that makes up his underwear basically, and his codpiece, and then there's a cloak that is really like awkwardly hanging amongst the branches, and then the two of you would see this little mouse person with a little blue flame on her back, kind of floating through the air really rapidly towards Gideon's greenhouse.
Ah, so you found a freak as well. Fantastic. They seem to be a dime a dozen around here.
He's not a freak.
We found what Gideon was looking for. They seem happy and relieved that he's alive.
Is this devil with you?
Unfortunately.
I'm a demon, thank you very much. The Seneschal of Ika.
We don't
Well, I am Elliot Fern, protector of the green, and great friend of Gideon the Great, awakened.
Some protecting you did around here.
No, there's two of them.
Looking at Scarlet. Oh, God.
What have we done?
Yes. As you have found Gideon's companions. As Baka, she would definitely fly way ahead of all of you, not even concerned with you much anymore in there. As you can see, as you walk in, you would see Gideon kind of being like, going like this as she's just fluttering around him, just like checking everything about him and like opening his mouth and looking inside and checking his pulse and things like that, rustling through his hair. You would actually kind of get like a really good look at Gideon now, as he's drooping with wrinkles like Curon was before he died. He has that hook mustache I described. And then he has kind of that white silver hair, 5 o'clock shadow underneath it. He's missing a whole ear, which is very noticeable because Elysian ears are obviously very long. But it looks like it was like torn off by a bear. Basically, he has these deep gash rivered like scars on his cheek. And he, despite his advanced age, he does have quite a bit of musculature to him. He's pretty strong looking, but his arms are covered in scars that look like he just gets real up close with the animals when he's trying to befriend them. And has been bitten and scratched many times in his attempts to be a scientist. But he has that long braided silver hair that Curon had, hanging out down the back, except there is an undercut shaved in the side and the back. Kind of anyone who knows Elysian culture, which is none of you, indicates a respect for the contemporary youth, because long hair is a tradition in Elysia, but there's a youth movement of shaving it off to represent a openness to the world and resilience against the old ways of Elysia. But you see Elliot Fern just kind of like bends down and looks inside of the house. And as he does that, you would see he makes eye contact with Gideon, who's like, oh, excellent. Fantastic. You survived. Both of you survived. I thought you'd be dead for sure. Oh, it's a most gracious day, even better than I thought it would be.
Should we go
Yes,
back
yes.
inside?
I don't know.
I don't know what to do. either.
So, we found your friends, Gideon. Now, would you please tell us where exactly you got that mask from?
Yes, that's right. That's why I wanted you to find Baka, because she would know, she would remember. Oh, Baka, tell us. And you see she's like, all right. You see she zips around the room and she starts to grab different items across the room. And you see she's rapidly putting them together and pulling out different tools in her bag. For maybe Sarathil and Ekbarlgoth might recognize some, or actually, Timber, you would also recognize this given your wife's profession. She seems to be somewhat of an artificer, in her crafting really quickly, but druidic in nature. Like she's repurposing druid crafted items towards a arcane technological method. And you see she drops this little thing on the table now that just looks like a bunch of loose items jumbled together into a little tiny dais. And you see she holds her hand up to the flame on her back, and then a little fire is on her fingers, and she puts it on the dais, and it bursts into a tall tongue of flame. And it sort of starts to form into shapes, as you can see a kind of an illustration of what she describes next. Yeah, well, you see, Gideon here, as wise as he is, as old as he is, as powerful as he is, he has trouble seeing the bad side of people. And we had a visitor, probably, I'd say, how long was I gone? I'm sorry, I have to do the math really quickly in my head. Every second is an hour. 30 years ago. We had a visitor. I said to Gideon right away, this guy's very suspicious. Don't trust anyone who wears that much yellow. And he said he had fascinating artifacts. Fascinating things that could connect to the natural world that we explored here, that this facility's purpose is to research, so share it with the world, create new things. And he gave us this curious little mask. And Gideon got very what's the word?
Possessive.
He became an asshole.
Yeah, possessive though. That's a nicer way to put it. I don't know how much you remember Gideon, but you obsessed over it for day and night, and one day he was gone. Couldn't find the mask. We were stuck here. Alone. Just Elliot and I. We don't really have any connection to the outside world. We don't really leave here. I mean, Gideon doesn't really leave either much, right? But so we didn't know what to do. He was gone. So we kept working on the projects, the work, and everything fell to shit. And then the statue started moving. And things were different. We would turn our backs and come back to an area, and the statue would be somewhere else. Fog came. And the animals started to leave. We tried to protect as many as we could until Gideon came back, and he did come back. But he's different.
How long was he gone?
I'd say 10 years. See, not a lot of people come here. And we don't leave, usually.
And all that time, no other circle members came?
There was no reason to. Edge clerics take sabbaticals, and they're gone for centuries sometimes.
Turn to Gideon. During that time, do you recollect anything you did?
I remember everything was gloomy. I would go in and out of my mind. Some days it felt like I wasn't even the person taking each of my steps. Foggy. I'd forget things. There were good days too, but mostly I just was asleep or walking corpse, it felt like, until I didn't remember anything.
What was the last place you remember being?
Last place I remember was coming to, terrified from a nightmare, as if from a nightmare. And I told Baka and I told Elliot to protect themselves, to protect the animals, and that they were coming. Didn't know who, but I knew they were coming. And I said, hide if you can. I didn't even know what I was warning them about. I suppose I do now. Yeah. That's when the hags showed up. And Elliot and I couldn't really fight them on our own. So, told Elliot to hide. And I slipped into a time loop. Try to find a way to fix this.
Did the hags want anything specific?
I'm not sure. They were looking for something. They may, I don't know if they were, with the mask, knew something that we didn't know about this place. Something deep in Gideon's mind. Maybe they thought there was, I don't know, Gideon, did you see anything? We didn't fight them very long before I went into the time loop. I might be fast, but if they had got me, I'd finished. I remember when I was young, you don't mess with hags if you can avoid it.
I just realized something. The first mask that we found was with the Archdruid in Magicbed. And then there's the one Thatcher has. And then you found one, right, Timber? You and Kieran?
Correct, in the Gosuru Nation.
Was it by itself? Was it on anyone?
It was by itself.
It was
It was burnt, right?
yeah, it was burnt.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was burnt in the you found it at the base of the tower, with a bunch of burnt corpses, basically, which was
Blood god.
exactly. You found a bunch of burnt up Kenku corpses and the corpse of a man, and the mask was on the ground there.
It seems, with the exception of the one Thatcher has, and this could be completely wrong, but it seems like the masks are in places where nature is powerful. I don't know if that has any relevance, but
Places where nature is powerful are places where the Fae leaks through. Or used to. Or does. Not as the same.
It's a good thought.
so
But what's the gain from that?
isn't
Well, the
Well,
Pallid King is consuming the Feywild, right? It would make sense that that's his natural
right,
ingress into the mortal plane.
right, that's what I was going to say.
Anywhere where the Feywild is strong is a strange place. It must be tempered. It must be taken care of. Because where the Fae cracks into this plane is where Fae flee from him. But what comes after is him. I'm foolish for not recognizing that. I'm not. You see, I went into a time loop very long time ago to hide. And time gets all messy when you fuck with it for too long. And I woke up here. So, but I didn't recognize that this could possibly be part of that corruption. What I'm saying is I know what who you're talking about.
Did he ever come here?
Something did. Something like him. I thought it was just
Stranger
some
or
nut
something
job.
different?
But I didn't realize it because, I mean,
It's not your fault.
he was just a fucking worm in a tree when I left. Everything was withering around.
What did it? Was it? It wasn't a creature. It was a humanoid creature. It was something different.
No, the death patrols would come through and proclaim, all must bend to the great worm, led by those wild elves with the horns and their violent weapons and their corrupted flesh. It's proclaiming that the new era was coming in the Feywild and we needed to bend our knees to the new king that grew in the roots.
That's pretty low to worship a worm.
Yeah. My second cousin said something like that, and they've cut her fucking head off. So I time looped.
How long ago was this?
Second is an hour. And you see her eyes go wide, and she slows down for the first moment as she's like contemplating the time that she was lost, how long it's been since that moment. Every second is an hour in the time loop. So basically, if she's talking about literally the Morasir conflict time, then she has been in several thousand years times 100, times 60 for every second of that.
Jeez.
Yeah, she's
And that's what she's referencing, right? Morasir conflict would be this.
yeah, you would know that,
this worm.
particularly from that story you heard of. So Curon told you guys about visions he had of a great worm erupting from the Ashkeeper tree. But also, you remember the stories from that Fomorian who talked about the wild elves led by that demon Koshairn who ripped through the Feywild and were the stormtroopers, essentially, of the Wayward One.
Yep. Okay.
So basically what she's hinting at is once the Wayward One was defeated, these wild elves basically just started to, like, worship the Pallid King, the idea of the Pallid King, and started to force any survivors in the Feywild to join them or die.
That sounds like he's still trying to exert his influence. Exert his power.
I couldn't. It must be. I thought I woke up from a nightmare and it was all over and that they couldn't find me here. I was wrong. I got you in trouble and I got you in danger, Gideon. Nonsense, dear. We all get ourselves into the trouble we're in.
Well, we're here in Elysia for not to deal with the. I mean, we need to take care of the situation, obviously, but we're here for taking down Queen Ayla, and our heading is the monoliths. We should refrain our focus to that. Not that the Pallid King is not important, but that is our current heading.
To summarize what Timber is saying, our mission in the end is to hopefully defeat the Pallid King, but to do so, Queen Ayla is our next obstacle. One of our close companions recently fell. He had a power that could be used, hoping to bring down the Pallid King. Queen Ayla holds that power now.
Oh, well, That's very troubling indeed. Yes. Yes. When I was under the beguiling ways of that mask, so far from the moon, I could feel these others. A righteous fire in one man. Believed he could save the Feywild. He only harvested death itself. I saw another sad boy. Yes, so sad, and then he was gone. I still feel him from time to time. Another believed he could harness the powers of Beoret himself and cure the ghost of ruination through the guiding and purifying fires of Zendariel.
Do those sound like the people who possessed masks, the three that...
Yes,
that
yes.
we knew about?
Harvesting death to save the Feywild is exactly what
Archdruid.
Archdruid Orland said he was doing. That's why he had those fungus zombies. He was trying to harvest, he was trying to find this new death magic that could help, rebirth the Feywild through this fungus. The sad boy is probably your brother.
Yep.
And you all don't really know anything about the researcher who got killed in the Ghost of Ruination, but he was
Just explained that he wanted to cure everything by fire.
Yeah, he was from all you know. Well, no, you wouldn't even know that, but it sounds like he was. The only people who know that are those characters from that one shot, who are all probably dead, other than our good friend.
Well, Timber said he found it all, everything was scorched.
Everything was scorched, yes. Yeah. Although Timber does know Craw, who was part of that league.
Oh my god.
That's
a long time ago.
Yeah. So those do match up with the three masks that you know of.
And he's saying he saw them, as in saw them when he was under the influence of the mask?
Yes, while he was under the influence of the mask, he could feel them.
Got it.
So with that in mind, you can surmise that these are the four masks that were active in the last 30 years. Doesn't mean they're the only masks, but they were the four that have been active over the last 30 years. Majority of them being more recent than this one. This might have been a beginning of the masks, or at least in their current form, influencing. But all I felt with all of them was divine fervor. Desire for their faith manifest. Yes, the cleric of death believed his faith would manifest. The sad boy prayed every night to that dragon, and the fervor of Zendario was ever great in that young human. I suppose I felt or desired to feel the moon again.
As Timber and Sarathil said, we're looking for these monoliths. The Pilot King is always in the back of our minds. It's a threat we've been tracking and dealing, well, some of us have been tracking and dealing with for a while.
That's what I'm saying, dear girl. If this Pilot King desired so greatly to come here
where the moon is. Where those who have the most faith in that moon. Queen Ayla is a dangerous person for that creature to have influence over.
I see. The brothers seem to think that you would have a way of destroying those monoliths to help weaken her power.
Oh, those foolish boys. I suppose there are ways to disrupt such magic, such amplifiers. Yes. Baka. We could do it, right? We could find a way. We would just need to get there. Safely.
Oop, I pressed the wrong button. I meant to press the voice mod, and I turned my light off a little bit.
I would protect you to the very summit of Therismore. I will be your guide, your blade, my Gideon the Great. It's quite all right, Elliot. He's very passionate.
We noticed.
Curious development. I was messing with some artifacts I had purchased from some of the magisters from the north, and, well, I didn't realize how wild arcane magic can get. And, well, one of my favorite plants, well, he became him. But I suppose if you have a plan of how to reach these monoliths, I know that there's one in the north with the magisters, or outside of their great city. Well protected, but not as densely populated as the one in the center of Sarathil, the capital. And then the most remote one, off to the east, near a pass through the mountains leading to the Monari Hollow. Spike of moon piercing through those dark mountains. There's no one around there except who protects it. You intend to bring all of these monoliths shattering to the ground?
Well, that's what we were hoping to get answers from you for. Not only help with taking down these monoliths, but what exactly the power that it holds within, what's stored, why is it so important to Queen Ayla, and how beneficial it would be in our fight against her.
Baka, you're up.
And you see Baka kind of zooms in front of you, Sarathil, and says,
Well, you see, these monoliths, they are basic amplifiers. They are batteries, so one might say. They channel Queen Ayla's magic through all of Alicia. She has, to be fair, she has a baseline presence throughout here. With the connection she has to the corpse moon and the very soil of this place, she can feel all of it. But what the monoliths do is amplify that to action. Hell's the only reason she's probably not here right now, if she's after you, is because the sheer flow of fey magic that comes out of this place blinds her.
So they're essentially like receptors for her to see throughout the entirety of the land.
Exert
It's not so much
her control.
weakening to exert her control.
You live under one of these monoliths, you feel her presence. It's a
replacement for the ever-presence of Ilyuvania above us all. Instead, it's the ever-authoritative presence of Queen Ayla.
Oh. And looking to Sarathil and Timber, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Kieran would have elected to go to Sarathil and tried to see if we could gather some allies while we were there. Speak to them first instead of just barging in and taking down the monolith with no explanation.
Was the plan, but now that might be more difficult.
Well,
I guess we could. I'd like to ask you what you can tell us of the people that live here in Lycia, because we're all but foreigners. We can incite a revolution.
well, you see... And you see he coughs up a little bit of blood. I just recalled that I am severely wounded still.
Oh, shit, yeah, me too.
Perhaps we should rest a bit. But I can tell you quite a lot about our people. Though I will admit it has been probably a century since I was amongst common society.
We'll take any information you have.
And even then it was only for a brief holiday.
But you know what it's like to be ruled under Ayla. She's ruled these lands for more than that time.
I was not alive in the reformation of society after the conflict. But I've been around a long time. Through the different political turmoils of this last millennia. There's much I can tell you. Those monoliths have been here since then. They've always been here since I was alive. Clawing their presence amongst us. It's why I truly fled to these lands. Only place free of her influence for the most part. We can still feel her in the soil and trees. But we are free here. Those monoliths do not pass the river. The influence is expanded to us because of the monoliths. We don't have to stare at their presence. Yes. We are freer even than the Anthelion Company. The north.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you about each and every monolith. Where they are. And who the people around them are.
That'll give us a good start. But as you said, I'm starting to feel weary myself. Realizing that I nearly died 3 times.
Well, and you see he claps his hands, and you see the table in the middle of the room that you're all sitting at that has that koi pond carved into it. The legs of it, you look and they are kind of like rooted trunks, and you see they start to grow and lift the table as the soil begins to kind of retract underneath, creating a set of stairs that lead down into his grove. I have beds for all of you. Certainly, yes. Didn't you have another companion? As you all look
I
around.
believe he's taking a leak.
It'll be fine.
I like to imagine Talray went to go do his contact other planes somewhere, and he rolled poorly, and he's now like he's like sitting in a tree right now, speaking gibberish.
He's talking to some large branches and like trunks, thinking it's us.
There's like one big rock that he thinks is Naldo.
Yeah. Amazing.
But you can easily follow him as you see Elliot quickly kind of like shrinks his roots down so that he's a normal person's height, and like grabs onto Gideon and like slowly leads him down, triumphantly proclaiming,
I will protect you. Take your steps carefully, Gideon. We do not need you any more injured than you are. There's glory ahead of us against Queen Ella and the damned cult of Disballad Musk.
I love this guy.
yes, Elliot, we understand you. Yes. Yes. But as you go down, you would see that it is similar to the grove of the brothers. It has that very circular architecture where there's no corners to brood in. This seems to be like a central chamber that is circular in nature, probably about 30 foot radius.
No corners.
No corners at all. In the center, you can see there's kind of like this mass of roots that come down and form a pillar in the center, which inside you can see there is this heart almost to it that is this, you would all probably recognize this as a rift.
Oh shit.
A small rift bleeding Feywild magic into this space. Very similar to the one in the Wayward Home for Fey for the veterans here. As you can see, there is similar trickles of water coming from it that flow down into these sort of little canals in the chamber that then flow out into the other chambers, feeding the roots here. As you would be led into a side room where there would be these druid-crafted beds in there, and warm Fey hearths all throughout. And you would notice a billion animals kind of crawling all about. There's all sorts, very much like the Home for Wayward Fey. You would see a little pseudo-dragon pops its head out of one of the roots, knots in one of the roots. We could see all of the Feywild creatures here look just like a little bit different than the ones you saw at the Home for Wayward Fey. Those were rescues being found from all sorts of places. These creatures, based on what Baka said, just kind of show up. Like if you stay here long enough, a creature will just pop into existence in front of you, as if out of like a little like Fey step that happens in front of you, as you'd see a terrified creature show up. And very quickly another creature would, either Baka or Gideon or several of these other creatures would come up and kind of usher them to another chamber. But you can find a place to rest. As you could see, Baka and Elliot leads Gideon into another chamber for him to rest. As then Baka starts to do maintenance all throughout the chamber, finding things and being like, oh God, 20 fucking years of mismatched management, these damned hags, as she's just doing maintenance all throughout.
Question, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
So you said that flame is a manifestation of her soul. Does the little chain that I have, does it do anything in reaction to that soul?
Yeah, it's magnetized towards it. Anytime you're near her, it moves off of your chest, resisting against your clothes, and moves with her. If she's close. If she's within, really, I'd say if she's within like 10 feet of you.
Interesting. Okay.
Okay. All right. Is there anything anyone would like to do before you take a rest?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Actually, I might want to do something real quick.
All right. Do you guys want to... Are you thinking of doing a short rest or a long rest?
Long.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just really quickly calculating how many years she was actually in that... or how many seconds she was in, or how many hours she was away. Okay. 37,843,200,000 hours. Divided.
Okay.
I think that she was stuck in a time loop for 1.5 million years. Okay. um, that's probably not correct, but all right. All right, so actually we're gonna take a short break and then we'll come back to if there's anything you want to do before your long rest. So folks, please stick around with us and we will be right back to continue exploring, talking to Gideon, Baka, and Elliot a bit more and planning your assault on one or all three of these monoliths. All right, we'll be back in 5, folks, so please stick around. Where's the break screen? Everyone say goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Good break.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advantage in Paradise. Our heroes have just retrieved Gideon's companions from his facility. We have Baka. Full name, although we haven't said it yet, is Baka Grifton. She is a Briganock, which are these mouse-like people from the Feywild. And she's a very to-the-point, crafty individual. We have Elliot Fern, the awakened potted plant, the Knight of the Green, for honor and glory of Gideon the Great, as he says. But we have settled for the evening for them to rest in the grove, the underground grove of Gideon, where there is a rift in reality leaking Fey magic into the space, and all sorts of rescue Fey seem to be showing up or are calling this home. But our companions have been shown to their room where they can rest. So you all are there before going to nap bedtime. Is there anything you all would like to talk about, or anything anyone would like to do particularly before you go to bed? I imagine Ekbarlgoth, like, you're not used to being like tired, and that like sleep being a thing you have to do. But on this plane, you do have to sleep.
Right. He doesn't doff his armor at all. He just kind of like goes, well, okay then. And he just lays down on the bed, great sword, like almost like he's in one of those funerary poses, and he's like, so does the sleep just... Yes, that's right. I've done it before. I've actually been here for a few days. And he just kind of lays there.
Timber,
Yes.
can we try a meditation before we go to bed?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
We'll sit up on our beds and, instruct Scarlet to go to a certain pose, clear her mind, and Timber probably will pass out during the meditation.
Yeah, I will too.
Yeah, I imagine it starts off very calm, controlled. Timber's like, all right, now breathe with me. Focus on that flame. And you both are kind of you both kind of in your meditative poses, you at first kind of droop forward and then slowly fall to the side. As anyone awake would see, like literally pseudo dragons would kind of pop out of a nook in one of the roots of the walls and see you both asleep on the floor, fly down and grab one of the blankets and drag it over and put it on top of you two.
That's so sweet.
That's a nice dragon.
Yeah.
That's a good boy, dragon.
All right, so we've got the two meditators falling asleep mid-meditation. We've got the demon posing for his sleep. Sarathil, are you doing anything particular, or are you just doing your usual reading and then 4 hours of rest?
Just that.
Okay.
Get to regain my health.
All right, so you would all find rest in one way or another. As we are going to shift somewhere else.
Dream.
Dreamland.
Curon.
What?
Who? I thought he was dead. He is.
That's what you said to me.
That's exactly what I said to you earlier today. Curon. Your eyes open up, and you see a familiar, cloudy blue sky above you. The clouds are a little bit darker. You could hear the claps of thunder as a storm is approaching. Exactly like that. As you start to hear rain falling all around you, as the clouds almost rapidly grow together and bleed at, completely cover the sunlight. As a torrential downpour collapses down on you. If you stand up and look around, you would notice that you are in the circles of death. A place where all the archways encircle the central courtyard, where souls await to be claimed in the fields of death. Where Scarlet waited and waited and waited. Where you were brought from when you were on the back of the donkey with the Wayward One. But it's bleak as there's rain falling all about you and ravens nested watching on top of the archways.
Color ravens.
These ones are just black. What do you do? As you, I imagine, if anyone knows what this means.
Kieran will just kind of look around. Go. Hey, Drick. Hey, Drick. Are you there? I could use some company as I await.
You hear a tapping on the stone of one of these pillars. As you can see Hadric leaning against it. Same rags he always wears, shepherd's crook in hand. As you can see, though, that's that ripping, scarred flesh all across his neck from the fight with the Harbinger. As he smiles at you, he looks very weak, like he still hasn't recovered from that fight. He smiles. Same ragged beard, shaved head, covered in the runic tattoos of the Anshi. He looks to you and smiles, and slowly steps forward, stumbling a bit, before joining you in the courtyard of the Circle of Death.
Kieran will go to kind of help support him and walks him over to a bench or some kind of ledge that they can sit on. And as he does, it's almost like two very old friends meeting each other at, Central Park or something to go wander. Kieran sits him down and, looks at his crook almost jealously as he does not have his own. As he just holding Hadric's hand in one hand and patting it with the other, he goes, I am sorry, my friend. I didn't realize that you would be so injured in defending us against your creature, the Harbinger.
You see his face, the smile kind of fades to a distant stare as he looks away from you with a little bit of shame on his face.
No, my friend, you shouldn't feel shame in this. You couldn't have known. You were a different person, doesn't seem like the right word for what you are.
You hear
you were different then.
At the mention of like classic Huron aside of, well, not a person, but a little like croaking noise through his injured larynx, his injured esophagus.
No, my friend, please. As he looks longingly at his hands. If I had any ounce of my power left, but I fear just as the moon, it has shattered and been wrenched from me.
You see he nods to you.
There are many times where I know is a strong word, but I had an inkling of what was to come, but now I'm not sure. I'm just glad I have you here, at least, to keep me company until whoever, whatever it is, comes to claim my soul.
It's when you say that the smile and kind of like a little bit of like he was laughing a little bit too through that croaked noise, but the smile completely fades upon you saying, "Who comes to claim my soul?"
And then, not really saying much else, Kieran kind of snuggles up against Hadric a little and just leans his head against him, holding his hand as he just sits in the falling rain, waiting for his fate.
And Hadric would put his other hand over your hand and nod as you'd hear the thunder clapping above. Very much like when Maius took your soul from this place. And you see almost, it feels like a very long time that you both sit in this position. To the point where it gets a little cold and you might even pull your robes closer. Your bones might creak a little. Before Hadric will kind of like, having kind of nested his head against yours as well. Two old friends. He kind of quickly kind of comes awake before you can feel it. And he stands quickly.
Is it her?
It's her.
Oh, so he stands.
Mm-hmm.
And Kieran just looks to him longingly and goes, I don't know if I can do it. Can't serve her.
You see he holds his staff out, and you hear the clanging of the chains at his wrist as he pulls it forward, almost like the chains pull it back, his hand back a little, but then he benches them forward as he begins to shape Anshi runes into the air. And he kind of pushes his staff through the runes and taps it on your head, your forehead, and pulls it back. And you, familiar with your own devising magics of communing, he offers you one last message to send to anyone.
Okay, so two things. One, is this technically taking place right after Kieran's death?
Yes and no. There's the time of this isn't going to make sense. The message is going to come to the party tonight as they sleep.
Okay.
If you send it to them.
Okay.
Whoever you send it to is going to experience the message this night that we are in the game.
Okay. My first thought was Kieran would message Sandariel and be like, send help, but if that's the case, then... Alright, Alright, so he would message...
Who's your favorite? Guess what? It's none of you. It's Cal.
It's Talred.
I was literally thinking, I was like trying so hard not to say Calith Stormrain and just see how you deal with that. No, it would... No, it would be Kaze. I thought it was literally Cal, Wiswick, and then literally anyone else, and then like an actual serious response. So that's just where my head was at.
Understandable.
Yeah. But yeah, without Clay here, it doesn't, two dead guys talking like, hey, we fucked up.
That would be really interesting, actually. Like, that might have actually been a really nice scene of Kieran and Wiswick talking.
Yeah. But I'll give the folks what they want, as Kieran sends a message to Kaze. You'll see me again. I don't think I'll be in control of my own facilities. Ayla will guide my hand. I don't wish for it. I don't want it. But it's the truth. If you have the chance, do not hesitate. Do not falter. Strike me down. Strike me down and take up the shards. You are moon blessed as well. So is Sarathil, so is Scarlet, Talray. You've all been touched and blessed by the moon. Any one of you is strong enough, any one of you is capable enough. Don't let me stand in your way. I failed. I failed you all. Tell the others. Tell Scarlet. None of you failed me. As long as you keep going, as long as you keep fighting, and as long as you never give up, you are doing exactly as I would do. Good luck, Kaze. And unfortunately, I hope I never see you again.
When I'm hearing this, is this like just a voice in a dream sort of thing, or is it like it's not like something I could like try to respond to, or like?
I would say that this is a sending plus, but with no continuation of the conversation. You have one response. It's as if you're in a dream in a half-woken state where you won't... If you've ever, like, just about fallen asleep, but not fully fallen asleep, where you start dreaming before you're completely asleep. It's that feeling. And where when you wake up, you're like, did I just hear Kieran? Did I tell him that?
Okay.
But when you wake, you will fully know that this was Kieran you spoke to. So you have one response, basically. No follow-up questions, because he won't be able to respond. I guess you could if you wanted to ask, but he won't be able to respond. But you have one message to send back to him.
Just like all broken up in his head, and he's like, you live within all of us, Kieran. I will do as you ask. Farewell, friend. Best of friend.
And as you hear that in your head, Kieran, sort of this last staying emotion, as you come back to the circle of death, you would start to feel pain in your body, like you're deteriorating rapidly.
Kieran will just look to Hadric and just mouth, "Thank you."
And Hadric looks as broken as you feel right now as he watches you, unable to stop it. As you fall unconscious. And awake. Breath entering dead lungs. Just as they did to Rodrin. You're laying in the waters of the well in Therismore. Stripped down to a loincloth, your hair flushed out in the water, radiating out, scintillating all around you. You see kind of almost like little stars coming off of the water. There's just nothing but darkness above you and the pillar of white ghostly light that burrows up into the sky. He awakes. My new champion. Rise.
Kieran gets to his feet.
Now, in this moment, you can recognize that you are not mindless. You are there. You're in this vessel. It's dull. You don't feel your connection to Ilyvania anymore. You look down and your hands your skin seems to almost rapidly start to turn white. Pale white, just as the other champions. You've served your destiny. Come, return the shards of our beloved Crescent Heart home. Such destiny deserves reward. And thus I inaugurate you into the Undying Court as my champion, Huron Isilastana, once heretic, now blessed.
Kieran turns to look. His reanimator in her eyes. He gives a deep bow, one befitting a lord of Unduris, maybe. And as he rises, he looks her in the eyes and goes, "My queen, my destiny may be fulfilled, but there are still others that wander your lands, whose destiny it is to watch you fall."
And you will stop them.
If there's one thing you should know about my friends, it's that I've never been able to stop them from doing anything.
Rise, champion, and join your brothers and sisters.
She gestures over and you can see standing at the edge of the pool. Rodrin. Sprite. Sprig, sorry, not Sprite. Sprig. Varys Moonbound. 2 other champions.
Do I recognize these champions at all?
Yeah, you do, but I'll tell you about that later.
That's fair.
I actually do have it written down somewhere. Yeah, she seems to be giving you a choice or a chance to join willingly.
Do I see my staff anywhere here?
No.
Do I see any signs of moon shards?
Not that you can see. Ayla may be a villain, but she's not like a villain to then suddenly encrust them into a crown on her head.
Right. Kieran will... He's looking at the other champions first. Looking at Sprig and Rodrin specifically, do they seem anything about them off?
Rodrin definitely seems off compared to the last time you saw him. Like, Rodrin was still a soldier, but was alive. Sprig, at your gaze, give me an insight check. Pull up Kieran's stat block one more time.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I saw the bookmark, baby. 14.
You're not sure what the emotion is, but Sprig is clearly still having independent thoughts. She's not as far gone as Varys, and she's not under the clear domination that Rodrin is now.
Right. Kieran looks to Ayla and just gives a curt nod and walks over. And if there's a spot, he's going to stand next to Sprig. And as he does, he'll look over at her and just give a similar kind of just curt little nod before looking back to Ayla.
Okay.
These 5, led by you, Varys.
Oh, sorry.
Don't think yourself chosen here. Will crush whatever resistance comes. We are near, and soon we will walk hand in hand together to our salvation.
And that scene will end. We won't see Kieran for a while. Next time you see him, Stefan will not control him, at least at first. I got, unless we want to do some PvP, I'll give you the stat block and you can...
I'd love to kill myself. But which one?
Yeah, can you imagine everyone's down and it's just Kieran fighting Ekbarlgoth?
Oh my god.
Amazing.
I'd go all out. Ooh.
Okay. So the next morning comes, and you all would awake at your own pace in this chamber. There would be breakfast already waiting for you right next to your beds. A mixture of porridge and fruit and other greens and fresh fey water. But you would awake feeling invigorated. Best rest you've had in years. Probably not since you were at the Home for Wayward Five.
I imagine Scarlet is on her stomach and just like refusing to get up and just head on her arms and just hair out everywhere. Leave me alone.
Ekbaralgoth, you had your first dream ever.
What?
Yeah, all your teeth fell out of your mouth.
Imagine as he awakens, Ekbaralgoth is like, "What? Strange. Odd. What is this nonsense? Where's the meat? Where's that good mortal sustenance?"
You look down and see some mostly oats and a few halved peaches with some cream and some raw vegetables with a hummus-like dip.
Yes, peaches and cream. Peaches and cream. I'm a little tiefling that likes peaches and cream.
Amazing.
I love it.
Ekbaralgoth does eat it and savors every bite because in the hells there's no flavor.
Scarlet would love it.
There's meat outside, I believe. Outside right of the tree. They're cooking it as we speak.
He throws it down and gets to his feet and... Yes, well, away!
As soon as he leaves, or if he leaves.
Yeah, no, he will leave in search of some savory.
You're gonna eat the rest of his food.
Well, no, actually, no. Timber would have called Sarathil and Scarlet to just kind of come over to a little closer to...
You come over here.
Okay, I'll come over there. I can't tell if I was hallucinating last night, but Kieran's voice was in my head.
What? Sit straight up.
Did you say?
What do you mean he was in your head?
He was
He talked to you?
pretty much a farewell. He wanted to let us know that he didn't let us down, but we're not lost without him as long as we continue or take his torch and continue, striving for his goal of taking down Queen Ayla and all that plagues this land. And we are all chosen of the Yovanya, and just a motivational speech, you can imagine. I can never replicate. But one thing that did resonate in my head is that next time we see his physical form, it may not be him. It might be under the influence of Queen Ayla. And that kind of worries me for our own sake.
I did figure as much, but...
We got Rodrin back, right? We can get Kieran back.
Maybe through having to put him down first.
As long as we can bring him back.
I don't know anybody else that's capable.
Sarathil?
Well, we'll find a way. I'm sure we will.
We have to. We will. I'll pick up my bowl
Ekbarl
of
Goth
peaches
comes
and cream.
bursting back in and goes, "There was no meat being cooked outside.
I'm
You
sorry.
lied to me."
My nose must have. My nose plays tricks on me every so often. This whole.
Did one of you start eating his food?
I'm eating my own food.
Okay.
No, Timber thought about it, but he was too preoccupied with. Lou keeps getting in my head that there's meat outside, but I sorry.
Stomps back over.
So, where are we headed?
A spot next to Travelers. Sarathil.
Oh, Sarathil.
Well-
It was Sarathil.
Sarathil. Yes.
Shouldn't we wait to hear
I named
what's-
that city a long time ago.
And I never heard of it.
Shouldn't we wait to hear what the Druid has to say?
Yes, no,
Post.
Probably.
I have plenty of questions to ask him. I mean, as far as long term, that would probably be our next destination. It'd be wise to ask him for as much information about the land as he could tell us, what to expect.
And in addition to that, whether or not he can either take care of something, a whole monolith himself, or
If I
influence
might,
folks to relieve
if I
some of
may
our
add-
burden.
Sorry.
It's okay.
If I might add, I believe it would be the most efficient if we ask Gideon to go north, take care of that one, because that's farther away, and I have a feeling he may know some quicker ways to get there. And we go to Sarathil, see what support we can garner there, and then we all meet up at the one by Therismore.
It's a good initial plan. Let's hear what the Druid has to say for influencing that decision.
We should not also forget that on the way to Sarathil, it might be wise also to stop at Kiran's hometown. I believe it's not too far from here.
What did
Tal-
Talia say? Who is Navali?
Novelly.
In Talio, being
Technically somewhere around.
yeah, Talio is around here somewhere.
He's
so.
around here somewhere.
Let's have to check with him.
Talio just wakes up like, oh, I'm not used to sleeping.
It'd prove beneficial for him to speak up and get some sort of support there at least.
Yes,
Right, Talio? It should be on the way to Sarathil, correct?
Which one of us wants to take this?
That's you, man. I got my own character
Damn it.
now.
I was sitting here being like, God, I hope they'll keep doing it. Kieran's parents will want to know what has happened to him.
You should probably be the one to tell him that.
Novelly
As far as that may be.
Novelly is the seat of the original temple of Iliovania. It is a great symbol of the folk of the river. Perhaps a wise place to start Kieran's revolution. But I can take care of that if you wish to travel on. Leave it to you if you want to join me.
I think we should go. Sing his praises to his family, like we did for Wiswick. feels like the right thing to do.
No doubt it'll be very dangerous. Queen Ayla knows we are from there. She would expect you to arrive there.
Right. In which case we might want to move on.
If I may. I see a very clear situation here of a monarch in total control, with eyes everywhere. If these monoliths are a way to weaken her grasp, should we not take out at least one first? Then when we arrive at this Navali.
Novelly.
Oh no,
Oh no, I sassed him too
No.
hard.
Sassed him out of.
he's back. He's back. He's
There he is.
sassed his internet out of him.
If we arrive at these places with the queen's power diminished and a monolith under our belt, wouldn't that put us in a better position of bargaining?
He does make a good point. From what Gideon had told us, these monoliths act like some sort of sensory to powers. The nearest one to where Kieran was raised is definitely Sarathil.
Yes.
If we bring that down, then her vision of us be probably clouded.
But I mean to say the third one, the one he said was furthest, loosely guarded. A good strategist knows where the enemy is weakest is where you should strike first. If we cut her power there, her power will be diminished at Sarathil, and by the time we arrive there, if it's possible, Gideon could have headed north and taken out that monolith. With only one left, her forces may be consolidated, but she'll be weaker, and the people will see her weakness for what it is. That's when we strike.
So you're saying not take out all the monoliths, but rather just two?
Well, take out all three, but take out two first and then go to the one that's most heavily guarded. Also, if we go to the monolith between here and her home base of Theris Moor, she may assume we're making a beeline straight for her. She'll consolidate her forces back, while we then move in and flank. Really, it's like none of you are generals of an army. Have you never fought in an open warfare before?
No, I've just taught children how to.
I'm a blacksmith.
Right.
Well, technically, Scarlet, you fought in open war. The Battle of Driftmarch.
Yeah, it didn't go so well. Though.
And
But that
the
didn't go
party
very
did
well.
fight in the front lines of
Well,
the
with
most
So you
Cal
didn't-
too,
recent
right?
conflict.
Yeah.
Scarlet is trying very hard not to show that she agrees with him, but it's just
Take it as
Well,
you will. You're
that
all in
is-
charge here. I'm just here to lend assistance where I can, he says, leaning back.
That is a good idea, demon. This.
Ekbarlgoth is my name. Seneschal of Ica. Sent by the hot swarms and Dariel herself. Thank you very much.
I apologize, Ekbarlgoth. We shall talk to the Druid and confirm this plan. I do like it, unfortunately.
It's at this point you all would hear a crashing noise from the main chamber and some like surging of energy. And you would hear I'm so mad the voice mod wasn't working before because Elliot was also supposed to be voice modded to sound echoey.
I know,
But-
I could tell you're pushing the button.
But you could hear Ellie. Now it is working. So you could hear Elliot in the other room.
Master Gideon, are you okay? Please be okay for the glory of the moon.
So much better.
Because he ain't got no mouth. But you would hear that echoing through the grove. If you'd like to check it out.
Nah.
Now, we're going to finish our peaches and cream first.
It's the first time Scarlett's eaten anything.
Sarathil's not much for food anymore, so he'd head out and see what's going on.
I'm kidding. I'm coming too.
Okay. So you would see where the rift is no longer, it doesn't look the way it looked before, where it was like roots writhing around, almost like a cage around the rift. The roots are splayed out, almost like their form is disintegrating into dust. Kind of the bottom roots splayed like this out like a flower, and the top roots mirroring that, so that the rift is in the middle and almost is expanded further. As you can see energy seething out of it, this purple, greens, blues, violets, indigos, all manner of colors bleeding off of it in these sort of clouds of aurora borealis coming out over the room. As you can see, kind of where they all met in the center is kind of this like druidic workshop, this druidic console of different magical gems and tools that you see Gideon and Baka all messing with, where you can see I almost said Ekbarl-Goth. Gideon is like hanging off the side of it, like something just happened to him, like as you can see, Elia comes rushing up and like scoops him up immediately, still screaming about his glory, as Gideon's like, unhand me, potted plant. It's fine. I'm okay. This is all part of it. We're doing something. We're creating power to bring down a monolith. As you can see, Baka kind of zooming around, like, and she's just like, it's very unstable. I don't know if this is a great idea, Gideon. It's the only idea.
Sarathil will kind of like jump into the action as well. It's like, is there anything I can do to assist?
Yes!
I have some sort of magical prowess.
Yes. And as Gideon would kind of like push himself out of Elliot Fern's arms and come rushing up to you, he has this renewed vigor after resting for the evening. Like you can see, like he still looks old, but he's quick and almost unusually spry for his age. As he comes and he puts his hands on your shoulders because he is much taller than you, and he's just like, "My dear boy, do you believe?"
Even what? Really?
Do you believe in magic?
Do you believe in hope, in the moon and the stars, tomorrow?
Sarathil will kind of look back to his team and turn back and be like, I do.
You see Baka comes fluttering and floating behind him, sort of trailing stars behind. What he really means is, can you get over there real quick and hold on to that lever until we say so?
I could do that as well.
All right.
You could be his translator from now on, if this is so urgent.
Yeah, he's a bit dramatic. All right. We need you there. Anyone else? We need more hands. We need more hands.
Sure. I'll step forward.
For the glory of the Crescent Heart, I can be as many hands as you want. Look at my tendrils, my fronds. I am the Knight of the Green.
Okay, all right. Elliot, we just need you to stand over there. And don't be so hard on the boy. He believes, just as you. What was your name? I didn't get any of your names, really. I was so distracted, distraught with my wounds. Who are you?
Am Ekbarl-Goth.
Not you. You exclaimed yourself almost immediately.
It's
The rest of
true,
you.
I did, didn't I?
Rowan.
Rowan. Over there, Rowan.
Away I go.
Sarathil is the name.
Sarathil.
Magic's the game.
Not to be confused with the capital of your land.
Oh, it was only a matter of time before that happened. And you,
Timber.
Timber. Excellent. Well, you, quickly, over here. You have any experience with enchantments?
I know of them, and I've worked with them. I've never made any.
Do you understand the careful calibration of ensuring that there is an alignment between the rift and our current...
How about Sarathil and I switch positions?
I think that might be wise.
It's like I have more expertise in this. So yes.
Then to the lever, and you get this
The lever.
overwhelming sense, Timber, a memory of you were also on lever duty with Raynor.
Yeah.
All right. All right. This is it. You all are here for the pinnacle of our research. Are you ready?
No.
Not you. Not you. Not you, demon. Though I appreciate your vigor.
Barlgoth is still leaning against the wall, not doing anything.
Elliot! Elliot! Yes, Master Gideon. What can I do? What can I do for the experiment? What can I do for the glory, the honor, the privilege? Could you take the demon outside? He's ruining the vibe. Fair enough. Very well. I can feel it. I can feel it. He is a dick.
I'm sorry, what'd you call me, you bundle of sticks?
Demon. For the glory of the Crescent Heart, Gideon the Great, I am the Knight of the Green. You're a man of war. Yes.
It's true.
Then come spar with me, and I will show you the glory of the green. To the surface.
I can do with some sparring. I'll just have you know, the glory of your Crescent Heart is a shattered moon, so... if that doesn't get you in the mood, I don't know what will.
Excellent! Fantastic! Here we go! And Elliot Fern ascends the steps with Ekbarga. And you see Baka comes zipping over to you, Scarlet, and she just kind of like, she immediately kind of like grabs your cheeks really quickly, almost like squeezing them for a moment. Like, and she's like, all right, look at me. You're saying your name? Well, your name? Rowan, right? Rowan.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
look at here. And she moves your face to look. You see this button?
Yep.
Okay, don't push it. Do not push this button. Whatever you
Then
do,
why'd
do
you
not
tell me
push this
about
button. Because you might have accidentally bumped into it. Doesn't matter.
I can
Look at me.
follow
And she moves her
directions.
face back to her face.
Yep.
You said you're a blacksmith. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, you see this? And she holds up. She takes out of her bag a little hammer.
I have mine.
Yours won't work.
Let's
You
find
see this?
out.
You look at this? Look at this? Look at this? On she
I'm
on
looking.
she Agam runes. Do you got those on yours? No. Exactly.
I have fierce soul runes.
Not gonna help here. Take this. Usually you take it and it grows to fit you right away. And it's big. You almost drop it for a second because it's too heavy. It's gonna take 2 hands.
Oh, I feel cool.
Okay.
What do I do with this?
On my command. And then she kind of zips away. Follow me. Come on. Why are you so slow? And she leads you around into where the behind of this sort of pillared central unit of roots and the rift. And you see there's an area where you can go inside the hollow of the roots.
I mean, you can look and you can hear the of the rift above you. And you look down and you can see there's this sort of really ancient-looking altar that has all these different similar scripts carved all over it. So, okay, we have... Look at me. She grabs your cheeks again. Sorry, I can't tell when you mortals are not paying attention or not.
I've not once lost attention. You don't have to touch my face.
You see where the altar comes to a nexus in the middle. On my command.
What's a nexus?
It's where the two stones come and meet.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay. On my command. And look at me.
I'm
Open your
looking,
ears.
I
Open your
have-
ears.
They're open.
My command. Gideon's gonna be shouting all sorts of nonsense. My command.
Understood.
You strike. One chance.
No pressure.
None at all. Shout if you need help.
I'll just keep just weighing the hammer and practice swings.
And she comes just zipping around, and you see Gideon is still monologuing. This is
You love this so much.
Queen Ella. Oh, she thinks she knows the moon. She thinks the stars are on her side. Celestial bodies. No. Our fate is this today. As Baka comes up to you, Sarathil. All right, dead man. Stay alive. Look at me. You know the weave. You know the magic. Okay? I can see it in you. Now, when Gideon initiates the ritual, there's going to be a overwhelming surge of magic in this chamber. And we're trying to concentrate it into a single point. Now, you know a little bit about arcane focuses, right?
Also use one almost every day.
Excellent. That's what I wanted to hear. So what we're going to need you to do is tether that conjured magic through your focus to a single point. Think you can do that?
What point did you have in mind? Does it matter?
There's a nexus inside the roots. Your redhead friend, Rowan, is in there, ready to strike it with a hammer of the Anshi, which will temper it, so we can use it. All right. Flies and flutters in front of Timber, and kind of gives again grabs his cheeks, like everyone else's. She gives him a little bit of a tussle, because she's feels the fur, and it's the way anytime you're with a dog, you just kind of rub their face too much. All right. Look at me, Pooch. Okay.
Pooch.
Pooch. Pup. Whatever you want to be called. Timber. No. Is that what you said your name was? Timber. Timber? Like Timberwolf? Is that what that is?
I don't know.
Did they name you? Were you a wolf man when they named you that, or did you pick that?
No, I didn't pick it either. It's my daughter named me that. They don't.
Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. What you're gonna do is, on my command, you're gonna pull that lever.
I have a lot of experience being on lever duty.
Those roots are gonna conjoin together to contain the untethered magic that is going to erupt out. You pull that lever, and it's going to be untethered even further, concentrated through the roots into your friend Sarathil's arcane focus, down into the nexus where your friend Rowan is going to strike it with the hammer of the Anshi, tempering it for our control. All right.
So, you just pull the lever.
You just pull the leather. Just pull the leather. And again, look at me. Open your ears. He's very entertaining, but don't listen to Gideon. And she flies away. All right. The glory of the Crescent Hunt is before us all, and the glory of tomorrow. Take a deep breath, all of you.
for your friend. You shall see it done. Baka, are you ready? I guess it's ready as I'll ever be. Like I always said. Anything worth doing is worth taking your time. All right.
And you see he holds his staff up in two hands. And Baka comes fluttering around. You see she takes out this small little chisel from her bag, covered in Anshi runes. And she starts to rapidly, super fast, carving runes into his staff. As he is just sort of proclaiming out. And here we have it. A nexus of magic infused with the shattered moon, the stars, with the heart of these adventurers. On my count! On my count! 5. Brace yourselves. 4. Bring with you the spirit of your friend. 3. Destiny awaits. 2. All right, folks, get ready. For all that is right in this world and the next and beyond and through the very soil of this living, breathing earth. All right, now's the real countdown, everybody. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1. All right. I'm going to need you two to give me a skill check of your choice. Timber, you're just pulling a lever.
Oh, the lever, Kaze! I would like to make an argument for acrobatics. I would like to kind of like wind up a shot and like position myself in a way that I'm really steady so that when I've got the momentum and I'm ready to strike at the exact same at the point that I hear Baka's signal.
Okay, I'll allow that. Sarathil, what skill would you like to do?
Arcane.
Yeah, I figured as much. All right, Sarathil, give me an Arcana check, and Scarlet, give me a Acrobatics check.
Oh, come on, don't even mess with me with that.
23?
Hold on. Acknowledging from the past. Which brings it to 23.
You both got
Hey.
23s?
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent. All right. So you would see Baka would flutter up, and you would see Gideon would shatter the staff over his knee. And you would immediately all feel a gust of power emanating from this rift. As you can see, just this untethered magic seeps out all over the place. You feel your hairs stand up on your arms. Timber looks like a puffball right now. As there's just this electricity through the air. You can taste metal in your mouth as it's going through the air. And Baka kind of flutters over and is like, "Now, Pooch, now!"
To pull the lever.
Pulls the leather, and you can see all of those branches, those roots, they kind of twist all together, weaving, and almost like each branch is harnessing a different string of this magic and slowly pulling it all together into one kind of core that's sort of raging above you, Scarlet, right now. As then Baka will flutter forward to Sarathil and say, "All right, now pour it through, pour it through, pour it through. Dead man, stay alive, come on."
Pouring it through.
And you see Sarathil, what do you choose as your arcane focus for this? Is it the skull?
No, I'll use my book.
Use your book, okay. All right, so Sarathil, you kind of you see the pages of your book start fluttering wildly as this surge of energy goes through it. You're scared for a moment because you can see the book almost looks like it starts to singe on the edges. And you can feel it's like difficult to hold on to it. Your hand starts to weaken. Your form starts to weaken a little bit. You are going to take 1 point of exhaustion as it surges through, and then it kind of like shoots back in right above Scarlet. And you look up, Scarlet, and you see kind of all the energy. It kind of is being drained out of the core into Sarathil, where then it shoots as a single beam to a point, and you can see kind of forming as this little star that's wildly shaking, and you see it starts to slowly fall, and you can hear Baka behind you. All right, princess, this is going to get faster and faster and faster and faster. You got to be on the point. Are you
I'm ready? Yes.
All right, then. Now! And you...
Smash it.
All right, so you are also going to take a point of exhaustion, and I'm going to need you to give me a dexterity saving throw.
You got it. Is this an effect I can see?
Yeah.
Oh, god damn. I rolled a 3 and then a 1. So I'll take that 13, and I'm going to evade whatever the fuck happens here.
Okay, so there's going to be as soon as the hammer hits it, you see that little that beaded star that's wildly raging starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller as it goes down, and it starts really slow and then goes really fast until it hits exactly in the nexus, and you needed perfect accuracy to hit it, and you hit it. And as you hit it, there's just a rebounding energy that clamors off of it, sending you flying back through the air. As anyone looking would see, there's now an actual physical bead of light that is in the nexus. As Scarlet, you go flung back, your back hits into the roots. As you're going to take another point of exhaustion.
Oh no. No damage though?
No damage, no.
Alright. Oh no.
As you do then would see Baka kind of flutters right in there super fast, and you see she drops down this little metal orb, this metal contraption onto it that then goes all around it, and the lights all fade. And then you see those of you who, which would be all of you at this point because you got thrown back. Gideon then he has the two halves of the stick that his staff that he broke in half. He says, feel the energy. Success. Victory. A message from the moon. And he brings the staff back together, and it fuses back together as that rift. You hear a cracking energy in the room as the rift then flashes a light, and then all of the roots come back together into that pillar you originally saw as the rift is contained and no longer raw and churning, as a calm comes over the room. And you see Baka kind of fluttering out. I say fluttering. She doesn't have any wings that flap. She just floats kind of as if she had wings going, and she's holding by the handle. Yeah. Oh God.
Oh my God. Yes.
As she's carrying this bundle of metal, stone, and root that you can see kind of vibrating. It kind of looks like a kettlebell, the way she's holding it from a root handle. As it's like too heavy for her a little bit. As she's struggling to stay in the air, she comes out, bringing it over to Gideon.
What is it? What do we do?
Oh. It will need to be planted. The base of the monolith. So, before you ask, yes, we do have to do that 2 more times.
Oh. Oh no! Oh no! I could die! Can we wait? Can I take a nap, please?
Nonsense! Glory awaits us!
Oh my god. Then you come smash it this time.
Boss, I think we might need to give them at least a little bit of a break between sessions. Very well. But don't let the moment of this pass without feeling this fire, electricity. This is the start. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
Very nice. Very nice.
That was awesome.
All right. Thank you, folks, for hanging out with us in Paradise as our heroes begin kind of the first steps to taking down Queen Ayla and befriending this peculiar trio for the adventures to come.
I like them.
I love that.
The start of next session we'll do just a little spar between Ekbargoth and the Knight of the Green.
Fantastic.
I think that'll be really interesting. And maybe Talray can contribute to the next two reagents
Yeah, he's
created.
not here.
Just shoot the Nexus, maybe.
All right,
You can
folks.
pull a lever.
Yeah, he can pull the lever. The lever. All right, folks. Check out some upcoming programming in Paradise. I have said it for every week for the last 3 weeks, but I think I mean it this time. I think I'm gonna do Relaxing in Paradise this week.
I'll believe it when I see it.
So join me on Thursday where I'm going to, cause I have to, because I need to start making Queen Ayla's chamber because you guys are rapidly approaching that encounter.
We'll delay it as long as you want, Sean. We'll do every little side quest you throw our way.
So Relaxing in Paradise this Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. There will be no scales above this Friday on Roll for Damage, and I have the week off for that, although I might be part of a one-shot there. We'll see. Keep an eye out for that. Of course, the Sean and Shannon Power Hour is this Sunday, the most powerful hour on the internet, 7 p.m. Eastern
I have
Standard
lots
Time.
of notes.
We'll
So
talk about
many.
tonight's episode, which was
1, 2,
lore-filled.
3, 4. Almost 5
Um,
pages.
Hell yeah. And we are announcing a new show, a short-term programming, a short-term series is going to run in May, every other Sunday into the first week or so of June, called The Arcane Quandaries of Strixhaven. It is a 4-part episode with a really awesome cast that we got settled this weekend. You should start to see some information about that on our social soon, so keep an eye out for that. Shannon and I will be attending PAX East in April, which it is April. So what I mean is
baby.
2 weeks from now. So if you're going to be there, come say hi to us. We'd be happy to meet you and say hey. That is Paradise, folks. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. We are going to send a raid on over to somebody. We're gonna send it to Geekly Inc. They are the channel that created the Drunks and Dragons or Greetings Adventurers podcast, which is a really fun D&D podcast. So go ahead and give them our love from Paradise. They are doing something tabletop related. So say hey. All right, folks. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Say goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for being here, friends.
Yeah.